Today's video is sponsored by Amino app. Amino is an app with millions of different communities for people to get together from all around the world. But today we're going to specifically talk about Creepypasta Amino. That's my favorite app in there, obviously, since it's creepy. So if you want to come ask me a question, make sure you go check out my profile on Creepypasta Amino, and I have a blog where you can ask me anything and I will answer it. And while you're there, why not partake in one of my new favorite things over there? The quizzes. It's actually quite a bit of fun. They're made by different community members and you just kind of go through and see if you can answer the questions right. As you can tell, I don't fare too bad when it comes to creepy things. I wonder how you'd do. To participate on the Creepypasta Amino app, just click the link in the description or the pinned comment. Then follow the prompts to download Amino for free on iOS or Android. Or you can download Amino by searching the App Store, then searching for Creepypasta once you're in. And remember, you can find me there by searching my username, Urmaker. And you can go to my blog and ask me anything. I hope to see you there. And without any further ado, let's begin. This happened back in 2016, but it still gives me the creeps. Let me set the scene. It's a Friday night in Edinburgh and I'm skipping down the road looking forward to the highlight of my week, sticking on replays of King of the Hill and ordering fish and chips. I put a tenner on the heating, find a solid Koth playlist on YouTube and order my food. All stations are go for another spectacular Friday night. Now it's worth mentioning that it was December in Edinburgh, so there was a lot of snow and I expected the food to take a little longer than usual. However, hours passed and it never arrived. No worries, I'll just cancel the order and make some pasta or something. I get a knock on the door at 1:30 a.m., which was a little weird as I didn't buzz anybody into the building. I look through the peephole and there is a delivery driver. I opened the door and he began to profusely apologize for the delay in the food order and explained he felt bad and wanted to check if I wanted the food anyway. I told him I understood and that it wasn't a problem and took the food. I thought that was the end of what seemed like a happy matter. But it was not. At around 2 a.m. I get a text message saying, "I really liked your sweatshirt." I responded, "Thanks, but who is this?" He replies, "It's your delivery driver." At this point I'm pretty annoyed at the nerve of this man, but also spooked as it was clear I lived alone and this man had sauntered straight up into my building. I can't remember everything he said, but it's more or less along the lines of, "So how's your night?" and various other fairly inoffensive messages to which I did not respond. The scary part is waking up at 3 a.m. to a series of missed calls with a message in the middle saying, "I'm outside your building. Do you want to hang out?" I'm seriously shitting bricks at this point, so I don't manage to get back to sleep until around 7 in the morning. Thankfully, I never heard from him again. I've since changed my sacred ritual and my country of residence. This happened to me back when I was 17 and living in a small rural village. I had been at a friend's all evening watching films and chilling, and I left to go home around 11 p.m. It was quite a long walk back to mine as she lived on the outskirts of the village down some back roads. I felt relatively safe, as when it got to a certain time of night it was quiet. You wouldn't bump into anybody and there would hardly be any cars on the road, especially at that late hour. It was weirdly peaceful. Where I lived there was a large avenue with 2 big blocks of houses, like 2 big circles that you would get to after following a small dark road that consisted of a few large old houses and a vicarage. As I'm passing the vicarage, I see this little beat-up red Nissan Micra coming towards me. The closer it gets, the more it slows down and the guy is nearly breaking his neck trying to look at me. I mean, there was nothing subtle about it. It nearly came to a full stop as it drew alongside of me, and I started to panic. There was not another soul about, just me and this strange guy, I was determined not to get myself in a tiz, so I picked up the pace and refused to look at him. As far as I know, he drove off. I continued walking, which was literally a 5-minute straight line from there, and I kept listening out for a car engine and was vigilant of any headlights creeping up behind me. I heard nothing and saw nothing, so I breathed a sigh of relief as I could now see my house. I walked in and locked the door and saw my mom standing in the living room chatting on the phone. I'm trying to interrupt her conversation, telling her about the weird guy in the red car, when for some reason she goes to the front window and peeks through the curtain and she takes the phone from her ear and says, "What's that car?" This is all in a minute since walking through the door, and I'm thinking to myself it can't be him, because if he had followed me I would have heard the car. Before I even got a chance to look for myself, there's a knock at the front door. So I go to answer it, only pulling it open a few inches. And there is this guy standing there empty-handed wearing a baseball cap. It was the same guy in the car. I'm just like, what the fuck? I ask him if I can help him. "Did you order a pizza?" he asks me. And I'm like, "No, I think you have the wrong house." Taking a step towards me, he says again in a not fucking around kind of tone, "No, I said, did you order a pizza?" Before I reply, my mom comes up behind me and opens the door fully and says, "Is there a problem?" This causes him to back up mumbling, "I must have the wrong address," before he gets in his car and takes off. Sure to say, we were both a bit spooked and made sure everywhere was locked up properly. This happened in late 2015 into early 2016. At the time, I was a single mom with 2 little boys. I had gotten a divorce in 2011 and decided to try to date again. Between working 40 hours a week and being a mom of 2 young kids, I didn't have time to go out and meet people. So I decided to try online dating. I made an account on Plenty of Fish. I had it for a while. I went on some good dates and some bad dates. The usual. I had a really cheap smartphone at the time, so apps kept crashing and I kept getting annoyed with it. I had a guy message me on this app and I stupidly gave him my number because I was going to delete the app. Let's call him Felipe. Our first few texts were normal. How are you? What are you into? Etc. I told him I have to drive to work and I'll talk to him later. He sent me a text saying, "I want to be sweet to you," which may not seem scary, but it made me really uncomfortable. I didn't know how to respond, so I just ignored it and went on with my day. The next afternoon, Felipe texted me a picture of himself with a black eye and said, "I got into a fist fight at work today. Wish I had a sexy woman like you to ice it. I want to be sweet to you." I sent a text back saying, "Sorry to hear that. Hope your day gets better." The next day, Felipe sends me another message saying, "When are you going to let me be sweet to you?" As I've said, I've just got bad vibes from him. I finally sent him a text back saying, "To be honest with you, I don't think we're a good match. I apologize and wish you the best of luck." And Felipe lost his shit. From what I can remember, he sent a text back saying, "How dare you? Why, because I have tattoos? You have a pretty face but an ugly heart. How dare you judge me?" I, now laughing because I dodged a bullet, reply back, "Well, for starters, it's not your tattoos. I have 4. And after your response, I definitely stand by my decision." Felipe responds, "No, I'm sorry. You made me feel ugly. I want to be sweet to you." I just ignored the text because at the time I had no idea how to block numbers. I went on with my life. Over the next few months, I started dating Kevin, and I'd get the occasional, "I want to be sweet to you" text. Then he'd call my phone and leave voicemails of him breathing. Then one day he texts me and says, "I moved my Viborg so I could be closer to you. When can I be sweet to you?" Then another heavy-breathing voicemail. I sent him a text saying, "You need to stop contacting me. I have a boyfriend." Felipe replied, "Who, Kevin? I'll be sweeter to you." I'm extremely creeped out now because I never told him my boyfriend's name. I assumed he found my Facebook and saw it there. I ignore the message. A few days go by and I'm at work. I'm a dog groomer, and at the time I was working at a corporate store that had a big window so you could see inside the salon from inside the store. I was working on a dog and this feeling of dread came over me and I could feel someone watching me. I look up and see a man standing in the middle of an aisle looking right at me. Our eyes met and he gave me the biggest, creepiest smile. It was Felipe. I quickly look down, realizing who it is. He then comes and paces back and forth past the window. My coworker Kay says, "Who's the creeper by the window?" I said, "Someone who I told to stay far away from me." I finished the dog I had on my table because his owner was waiting. I didn't see Felipe anymore, but I still paged my manager and let him know what was going on. I was closing that night, so he told me he'd keep an eye out and make sure someone walks out with me. My shift comes to an end and I check my phone. There's a text from Felipe. "I saw you today. I want to be sweet to you." I ignored it. My coworker B walked me to my car and I went home. I sent a message to my boyfriend who was on third shift telling him what had went on. He happened to call as soon as I was pulling into my apartment to make sure I was okay. I asked him to stay on the phone with me until I got inside. I'm on the ground floor and we just had a fresh snowfall, so I walked around checking around my windows for footprints, just in case he found my place. I didn't see anything, so I went inside. I get a message from my coworker B, who I closed with and walked me to my car. She told me that Felipe sent her a friend request. She wasn't even wearing a name tag that shift. I grabbed my phone and sent him a text in response to the one he had left me earlier that night and said, "Do not contact me or come to my work. My father works for the police department and I have a boyfriend. You need to leave me alone." Felipe replied with, "I just want to be sweet to you. I'll be waiting." It's been almost 4 years now. I'm still with Kevin and I haven't heard from Felipe since. It definitely could have been worse, but when he showed up at my work it was scary as hell. A little over a year ago, I had a job overnight at a gas station close to my house. I'm a woman and was 31 at the time. I know to some it seems unsafe for a woman to work graveyard shift by herself. However, it was a slow store and the sheriff's office was about 20 feet across from it. I really didn't think I would have that many problems. There would be about 30 customers in an 8-hour shift, and that was on a busier night. It was about 3:30 in the morning. I went outside to sweep the parking lot and last minute check the trash. It was time for a cigarette and I had my headphone in, kinda jamming out. Across the road in the parking lot of the sheriff's office, I saw a figure with his back to me. He was swaying back and forth while looking down. Honestly, it looked like he was enjoying a much-needed piss. Against the sheriff's office, though? Yeah, the building closes at 4 p.m. and doesn't open again till 6 in the morning. But why? By the back of his ripped white t-shirt, I remembered that he had come in about 4 hours earlier. He was a total creep, and I could already tell he had a good buzz going. I don't say anything. I took my eyes off of him and tried not to draw attention to myself. It was working until the car pulled in. I was still outside as they pulled up, and I saw him look at the car, look at me, and then back and forth. As the customer is leaving, I walk her outside. I still had half a smoke burning, and I had left my dustpan outside with the squeegee. we both hear him start to swear angrily and seemingly engage in an argument with himself. She looks across the road and tells me to be careful. I make an awkward joke about him being the one who should be more afraid of me or something like that. The man is still there, but closer to the road, not facing the parking lot of my store. Whatever he's yelling, it's completely unintelligible. He's obviously very drunk and can barely stand straight up, still swaying away. I don't engage him, but I don't take my eyes off him either. I just slowly walked back into the store. Something about his face really bothered me. He had a darkness to his face, but his eyes looked wild. My experience during graveyard jobs had been that the crazy-eyed ones are the worst ones. I didn't like it at all, and I wanted no part of it. I still had almost 3 hours to go and 2 hours before any other employees got there. Instantly, I go to the computer and type up a temporary close sign just in case he wants trouble. I'm going around the counter on my way to the doors when I see that he's walked across the road to my side. I literally just barely get the second door locked when he stumbles into our very small parking lot. My hand makes the mimed hand signal for cut across the neck, basically saying, "Nope, sorry, you're not coming in here. We're closed." I shook my head back and forth, hoping to further discourage him. He starts walking away, but screams something at me while he's walking away. I don't mean he was grumpy and shouted at me or yelled that I was an asshole or anything. I mean like he was at an enraged volume and was violently throwing his hands everywhere. Definitely knowing I'm in the wrong shift of the wrong job, I got really skeeved out. I decided to call the cops. It's a good thing too, because the minute I hung up with him, there he comes again to the door. He starts pulling on it and banging on it. He backs up and runs into it to try to ram into it. Not that it would have done any good. I made the mistake of telling him that I had called the cops and his ass was about to be grass. I say I made the mistake of telling him because once I said that, he took off. The police never found him. They drove around the road and surrounding neighborhoods for over an hour but found no one. He was on foot, so I don't get where he could have gone to. He didn't harm me, and with them not finding him, I didn't file a police report or anything. I was safe behind the thick glass doors. It just sucked. Maybe if I didn't warn him ahead of time, I wouldn't have spent the last 3 months of my job constantly looking over my shoulder. I'll never know what the right choice was. I'm just glad I don't work there anymore. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and share it with your friends. And also make sure you check out Creepypasta Amino and head over to my profile and ask me any questions you want and I'll answer it for you. What you doing, cat? Yeah, boy, I'm almost done. But I hope to see you over there. Make sure you click the link in the description or in the pinned comment and you will find me. I hope everyone is having a great day. And I will catch you in the next video. And just remember, it's always scarier if it's true. Bad bye. I'm a 47-year-old man and I'm a hopscotch champion. I've been playing hopscotch since I was about 3 years old. I ended up making it to the finals of the Hopscotch Championship. That was to be held in California. So I took a plane from Missouri out to California, got myself a weekend hotel room, and went to the tournament Saturday morning. When I got there, I got ridiculed a little bit because I'm a little bit older than the normal crowd, but I just used that as fuel to compete even harder. I also cheat a little bit. Before everyone's performance, I go out and throw a whole bunch of cooking oil on the hopscotch course. I usually make sure to wear a disguise. I dress up like an old lady or an old man, and I just go out and pour it all over and go, "Oh no, whoops, sorry," and walk away. I had gotten away with it and walked off and came back as myself and watched the championship before me. People started falling, breaking their legs, and I knew that my way to the top would be so much easier. So Sunday comes, the day of the championship. I wake up and walk out into the hallway of the hotel, and I'm greeted by about 15 Girl Scouts all dressed up. One of them holding a baseball bat, and the look in their eyes was terrifying. I asked them if they were selling cookies or something, and maybe they had a more intense way of doing it. They told me that I broke 3 of their friends' legs, and that they know that I'm the one dressing up and throwing it down because I guess my disguise wasn't that good. I figured putting on sunglasses was good enough, and I thought that made me look like an old man or an old lady. But apparently, kids these days notice things. Either way, I tell them they got the wrong person, and the little Girl Scout steps forward with the bat and smacks me in the shin. I scream in pain, and out of reflex, I just smack her across the face. This turns all of them into crazy little Girl Scout hyena-like animal things. They jumped on me all at once. One of them says, "Take this snickerdoodle, bitch!" and throws a snickerdoodle in my mouth, and the rest start kicking me while I'm trying not to choke to death. Out of nowhere, their moms come around the corner, and I'm just thinking, thank God. And then the moms start giving them more cookies to shove up my nose as reinforcement. Turns out the hopscotch game is pretty intense. The competition is fierce. And they didn't like the fact that I took a little bit of advantage of the ground. So there I am on the ground getting pummeled by 12 Girl Scouts shoving cookies up my nose and in my mouth trying to choke me, while their moms keep feeding them more cookies over their shoulders. Not feeding as in them eating, but feeding as in them handing them, so it's a constant stream of cookies. I finally make it to my feet, and then I Bruce Lee 1-inch punch one of the girls in the throat. She can't even cry because of the impact. But that doesn't slow down the other 11 Girl Scouts, and in fact their mothers jump in now. They start swinging their purses at me, hitting me in the head. Finally, one of them hits me so good it knocks me clean out. I woke up in the hospital and both of my legs were broken and I had a fractured skull. Doctors say I was very lucky to have survived. I guess when they broke my legs, they ruptured an artery, so I was bleeding out into my own leg. Regardless, I've recovered from the incident, but I've never played hopscotch again. I'm too afraid. The end. Girl Scout cookies sound really good right now. Have a good time, everybody. Catch you in the next video. Or over on Creepypasta Amino if you check me out over there. What's up? I hope you enjoyed that story, even though it was completely stupid, but that's kind of the point of these very last stories. We'll catch you later. Bye. The next day, Felipe sends me another message saying... That's not what it was. Why did I bring my fucking phone in here? What the fuck is going on, bro? It's not even for me.